let's understand what are the different return types available with the JavaScript functions. And our JavaScript function is capable to return the primitive data types, maybe object, array, functions, and many more complicated data type as well. So it allows to get the return data from the function in different formats. Let's see one by one how much it is capable so that we can see the possibilities with function return types. So very first thing, if we are not writing any return statement in the function, we'll understand what's happening and what output we are getting out of it. So I'm just going to write a test function here where I don't want to give any input and as a parameter, and inside the console also I'm just going to mention like test function call, that's it, and I want to call this function. Okay, let's see the outcome. Yes, we are able to call the function. Now it's important, we are able to call the function, but what exactly this function is returning after the call. So I'll create a variable here called let return value. And what is the return value come out of this function? I want to store it here and then I want to console it. So in this function, it won't return anything here. So it's time that you can think on it. What will happen? I'll take a pause for a second so that you can think on it. Yes. So let's run the code. It's giving undefined line number 8. It means here. So we understood with this, if we are not writing any return statement inside our function, by default, our function will give us undefined. Make sure it is not a null, it is undefined. So specifically, let's say I want to return a null. So if I mention return a null, let's check in this case. Yes, in this case, it is returning null, but if we are not mentioning anything, it is giving us undefined. And let's also verify, can I do in this way? Yes, of course. So by default, if you're not doing, it's undefined. If you and you can intentionally also do undefined as a return type. Okay. We'll try to understand a bit more detail, like we'll try to return some values like array and objects as well now out of it. Let me just copy the code. So here I'll try to return a number. So this will return a number that is 10 and we are consoling it. Let's confirm. Yes. After that, I want to return some boolean to false. Yes, that is also possible. Then I can also execute a expression here. Let's say 10 is less than 9. So it's a false statement. So in this case, it is giving us false. So if you're writing any expression here, so first of all, whatever the output will come out of this expression, that will be resolved. So the output will be false, and then this false we are able to see, and it is giving us inside the written value. Now it's all about we are passing one value at a time. But what if we need to pass multiple values? Let's say we have a variable A, variable B, and let variable c equals to 10 in this way. So how to return that? Because at a time we can only do one. So I'll just take a pause here so that you can think on it. What are the possibilities? Yes, so the function is very restricted and it always says that I can only return you one value. So in this case, what we can do, we can just prepare an array, and inside this array, we can push our values. So right now, ideally, as per the function syntax, we are just returning one thing, that is array. And inside our array, we can have any number of n number of elements. So we are solving the problem to send multiple things inside an array. Along with this, we can also pass an object as a return type. So let me create a copy out of it. So here, I'm going to have an object. And in this object, let's say I'm having an ID 101. I'm having some name. So I want to return this object. So that's also possible. Let me return that. Let's see the outcome. So we are getting an object as a return type. So we have seen a normal primitive data types. Then after that, we have seen the object as while returning, and we have also seen array. But we can also return a complete function from another function. So here, what I'll do, while returning, I'll create an anonymous function here. Better I'll create a copy so that you can see this code later. It will be helpful. Okay. So I'll remove this. And here I'll return one anonymous function. And for this anonymous function, I don't want any parameter. I just want a function body. And in that, I'll write I am function return from another function. So that whenever it will get executed, we will be confirmed this function is getting executed. Okay. So we are already calling the test function. So we are getting back this anonymous function. So this anonymous function is now present inside our return value in this way. Now this return value is a function. It's not a normal variable. It's a variable which is holding an anonymous function. So if we want to execute that, if we want to print it on the screen. So first of all, I'm not executing it. So I just want to see what exactly inside this return value. So we know it's an anonymous function inside it now, but let's see on the console and get a confirmation. So line number 42, we are getting a very good function here in which the hi and function written from another function is written. And this is what the return value. Now if we want to execute this function, if we want to do that, so we need to mention return value, opening bracket and the closing bracket. Now we should be able to call this function and we should be able to see the console on the browser now. Yes, we are getting it. So firstly, I'm getting this one and then I'm getting this one. Okay. So one more thing with this we want to understand. This is a sample example. You might not be feeling like, is it really necessary like to return a function from another function? But let me create a use case out of it now. So what we will do, we create a function called table. And that function is going to return us another function which will help us to just supply a multiplier like 1, 2, 3, and it will help us to create a table of 2, create a table of 3, 4, like this. So let me just do that. A function, the name I'm giving table, or better I'll say get table function, the parameter for which number you want to get a table function. And here, what I will return, I'll return an anonymous function. So this anonymous function is going to have one parameter that is called as multiplier. Multiplier, and it is going to return our number into multiplier like this. Okay, so to make it more simple, let me just call it and give you understanding. So let's say I want to create a table of 5. So what I'll do, I'll make use of this function get table function. So I want to get a function which can generate the table of 5. So I'm giving it 5. So what exactly happening in background? Let's observe it very clearly. So firstly, I'm calling the get function and giving a parameter called 5 because I want a function which can generate a table of 5 for us. So here in number 5, number, it's 5 coming here and it is returning a function. It is returning a function in which there is one parameter called multiplier, and instead of this number, it will become 5. And the equivalent representation for this will be, so now you can very clearly understand what is this table 5 function, or better I'll say like a table 5 function like this. So now it is just accepting a multiplier and it is just multiplying with number 5 and returning a value. And this is what happening when I'm calling get table function 5. Now, what I only need to do, I just need to say table 5, table 5 function. I just need to pass the multiplier. So multiplier 1, multiplier 2, 3, and let's see the output now. 5, 10, 15. So this is how the get table function is returning another function where we are able to understand and get a new function which is capable of performing the multiplication and give us a updated new function which is giving us all the table for a respective number. One more concept we'll try to understand here. Let me just comment out this code and let me just copy the same function that I have written earlier. So here, let's say I'm writing a return statement and here I'm creating a variable called 10. So this variable 10, whatever the variable a I have created, that cannot be executed in any case because we are compulsory returning our function. So this is perfectly allowed syntax in the JavaScript, but in practically this line will not get executed at least a single time in any case. So we should try avoiding any writing statements after the return statement. We can do that if you have some any conditional logic like if else and everything, but make sure if you're directly returning from your function, after that if you're writing anything, the VS Code, the ID you are using, that can give you some idea about. If I even hover the cursor here, it is saying unreachable code detected, and it is also highlighted with a bit low color or maybe the blurred color as compared to the other one. So this is how the function can return different data types like a normal primitive data types or maybe objects, functions, arrays, and many more.